right. Well, I'll get cracking. I didn't put a whole lot together from a presentation standpoint, but I'm happy to field questions that folks might have. Feel free to drop them in. It's probably easiest in the DAO VC chat, or if you want to jump on the mic, I'm fine with either. Um, and I figured this might be a more lightly attended VC. I will stress too that after VC today, I'm gonna work on getting the ones up that I've recorded and haven't put up on YouTube. So, in the event that folks want to go back and listen to those, or anyone misses today, based off of it seems like our attendance right now, which is quite light, folks can jump in and access that material. I just with all the things we've had going on, just fell behind a little bit on getting those posted up on YouTube, but I should be able to plow through them tonight. Now that I'll say a brunt of our push has been out for citrus. So jumping into it, quality of life updates from the beginning, and I guess I should say Happy Mother's Day. If anybody is listening, that's a mother, or that's
Celebrating your mother.
on YouTube. Yeah, celebrating your mother, of course. Everyone has one, and yeah, for those of you on YouTube that are listening, if you listen today or if not, Happy Mother's Day as well. But jumping into the more boring stuff slash the reason you guys are here. Quality of life updates. We've had a few this week. So first off, I believe was either a request from Doggos or Scooby. I'm not sure the direct path there, but we've implemented the ability for you to play audio through auctions and raffles. So it's just if a NFT has an audio component to it, you can play those directly from auctions and raffles. Kind of niche, but I still think pretty cool from we'll call it an experience standpoint, but being able to check it out without having to go on chain and listen to it from like a Soul Scan or what have you. So I thought that was pretty fun, and just a small little addition to raffles and auctions. We also added the lender address to private offers, primarily from a communications standpoint, since we don't have like a formal way of chatting back and forth from address to address. Uh, in theory, you could do it a couple of different ways. You could send a ding and get like their information. Now that you have their address, you can actually open up their address from their profile if they have their Twitter linked, their Discord linked. Can also be easier ways of kind of communicating. In the event that they send an offer, you want to counter or something along those lines, just to make life easier, I'll say, within Citrus from a communication standpoint. So I think that's pretty fun. And then the last one, which I'm pretty excited for, and I know it's not perfect. I'll start off by saying that, and I do appreciate too feedback that I've been getting from some folks. We've added in what we call a level capped mission. So it's essentially to try to help catch up for newer folks, or I'll say foxes that are within that range. So what we've done for this week, and just for like full transparency for anyone listening, is that we looked at the set of foxes that are t-shirt foxes, and determined, and this is transdimensional and famous foxes, and determined how many foxes fall into like what level categories, and what's the best way for us to like help boost foxes, recognizing that we also have to be cognizant of the spend that exists with the chest emissions at the same time. So what we've determined is the 25 to 40 range for this week, based off of those attributes and the amount of foxes that are within it, was like our target range. Now, of course, that also means if there are foxes below and they want to use Fame Transfer, or if they want to purchase Fame with Foxy to catch up and jump into the mission, that's fine. We kind of build that into our model when we assess how many foxes are going to go on that mission. But the main goal is to kind of move all those foxes that are within 25 to 40 up to the 40 some range post completing that mission. So that way they're in target of missions that require those levels. going forward, and it's just a way to kind of provide a boost to a certain amount of foxes. So our general plan is to do 1 to 2 of these per week, essentially trying to play what I'll call a catch up. And then we also recognize too that the levels, once you get, I mean, they technically are all exponential. They increase by about 10%, 9 some percent every level from the previous level. That 46 to 50 is like a major difference. So, we have like that scaling that we have to also factor into to missions from a fame standpoint. So we're working on things. We're making sure, that the fame system makes sense, and it's not too much of a catch up for people that are brand new coming into the ecosystem, because we value like that experience, the weekly send foxes out on missions, bring them back at chests. Like, I think that's a really fun experience from a community standpoint. And then, you want to open your chest, you want to sell your chest, like whatever you want to do with it, is kind of an added level to it. But this is the first week we're doing it, and I know I mentioned it too later on in the slide, which I'll touch on like a little bit too. Um, but pretty excited to have that mechanic kind of built in with our missions. And that's basically what we had for quality of life updates this week. As far as bigger launches goes, we pushed out we pushed out Juice. We are starting it on Citrus. I put it under here for Citrus just because that's where it's going to start. But our main goal really is to kind of build this out within our entire platform, and make it, essentially as robust as possible, as we're within the top 20 contracts that are used, at least with Token Market. I'm sure everything else will catch up, in short notice there. We're probably at least in the top 100 for everything. Um, so we have a ton of daily active users. We want to kind of factor that in more with the way our platform is created in a more holistic fashion, and a way that's not as like a manual process as it is right now with all the monthly and bi-monthly raffles that we kind of do. We'll probably still do some of that to a certain capacity, especially our holder raffles. But we have to figure out what that looks like from a mission standpoint, um, for the users, and the way that we kind of do those fun activities on the side. So as it starts off, I mean, we're terming it Juice. It's a points-based system, and it's wallet connected. So it's if you want to think about it as a rewards points system, that's probably the best way to look at it. Starting off on Citrus, you get 5 juice for every 1 soul that's spent either borrowing or lending on Citrus. The caveat there will be for defaults. Um, I'll have to circle back. I think as it stands right now, juice will only count for completed transactions once a loan is repaid. So on defaults, essentially you wouldn't get juice, and the primary reason there is based off of the fees that are being assessed. So if you want to look at it from that standpoint, once fees are assessed, you get a certain amount of juice back for those fees that are assessed. So in the event of a default, there's no fee that we take. That's purely a transaction between borrower and lender. So that's the only caveat that's there that I think we should probably put a better note on. But the main plan is you get this juice over time. It's all wallet based, like I mentioned before. You get it from doing different things. Right now, we're starting off on Citrus, and then with those points, you'll be able to go into basically a marketplace, and redeem different prizes that we put in there. So by default, there'll always be a soul option. It'll always be like whole soul denominations, at least to start off with. So it might take a little while for folks to kind of build up to it, which is why the second point that I'm on right now is pretty important. You'll have options for different, Foxy ecosystem things. So chests are a big one. We might build in other kinds of tokens and things that people want to purchase by using the points. Um, but just to think about it, basically, like just different fun things we can put in there. NFTs, other NFTs. I know in this little graphic we put at the bottom here, we mentioned blue chip NFTs. But even exclusive merch, we're talking kind of behind the scenes on doing something fun with that. That's different than what you can just buy from our merch store. Again, it's more so just to get people involved in the ecosystem, um, and just make it something that's exclusive for folks that are interested in kind of getting something different, right, compared to the normal offerings that we have, which I think is kind of fun. And then, like I was mentioning a little bit earlier, so if you don't have enough points, we are going to have a system for you to be able to trade juice. It's not a token, it won't be token based, but there will be some mechanism for you to be able to trade those points from one person to another. Um, don't have the full build out of what that looks like yet, but that will be possible, especially for some of the lighter users or folks that are kind of, right within the range of being able to purchase, something off of this marketplace where you might have to buy, 5, 10, 20, 100 juice, whatever it is to get to that prize and just make your life easier of purchasing versus using the platform to get there, and it'll kind of be a cycle. We'll have ebb and flows to it, and we'll have ways to of kind of offering these like promo periods of earning, 2x juice or something like that, based off of what's going on for whatever tool and all that fun stuff. So it's a way that we can really kind of have fun with it. I almost look at it, I consider it. I mentioned in my thread like a crypto back program versus like a cash back kind of program that's set up within our ecosystem. So I'm pretty stoked for it. It's been something that we've been talking about for a long time, but it's just been like having a bunch of things going on and trying to figure out when's the right time to put something like this in place based off of daily active users and all that kind of fun stuff. It just seems like, now is a pretty good time for us to get into that. So that's why I've decided to launch it now. Um, and we'll have more updates, like I mentioned. A lot of the things aren't out yet. The whole redemption process, all that kind of fun stuff, what that looks like, and how many points are for what things. How can people work on kind of optimizing, their juice earned, if you will, um, or again, from a seller standpoint, buying, selling to kind of arbitrage it and all that fun stuff. So. Um, yeah, I'm pretty stoked for it. It's been, like I said, something that's been ideated on for a while, um, and I think it'll be a pretty big deal for folks that are, you know, in general using our tools. We've gotten 3,000 plus daily active users. Um, it's just a way for us to be able to have some level of reward system built in to our platform. All right. Last thing that I put up is missions, and then, like I mentioned earlier, the level capped mission as well. So we'll talk about level cap mission after we kind of run through it, but the first one on here is our level cap mission. So any shirt, t-shirt, level 25 to 40. So if your fox is over level 40, it will not be able to go on that mission. Then we have solo crown level 48 plus. We have a duo Safari, Safari Den level 46 plus. Duo Cope level 48 plus, and then Trio Viking. So two Vikings level 48 plus and a Viking Den, and then the last is the trio for eyewear level 48 plus. So pretty solid mission stack, but yeah, to just go back and touch on the uh, the capped mission, level cap mission here. So again, the main goal is to get foxes that are within that 25 to 40 out of that 25 to 40 range. And it covers a pretty sizable amount of foxes too. I think within that range for shirts and t-shirts, just to give an example, it's a little over 1,000 foxes in total. And that's assuming folks are interested in, going on missions and trying to level up their foxes. So it should be a pretty decent ad to try to have a little bit more of a catch up for folks that are active, have been active, but maybe not active enough to get into that, at this point 44 plus range. or 44 to 50, I should say, range. So should be pretty solid. And it's also a way of us kind of maintaining that healthy balance chest outputs. And I mentioned like chest emissions earlier, but just a way for us to monitor and adapt and adjust and take feedback. I know a lot of folks have been suggesting things along these lines to play catch up, and I've also kind of built out a um, fame scale, if you will, for foxes to have like a decent leveling system to get up to higher levels, like even as you're playing catch up, which is kind of an interesting mechanism. Um, and I guess it really depends too on like the way that folks view this participation is what I would kind of really consider it, where it's not necessarily like a pay to win model, because everybody is really eligible for it as long as you have kind of those levels, but it depends on if you've been around kind of actively engaged in this or not. And then how much too we've been scaling the fame only missions, which we've only upscaled. I think we've upscaled it twice so far, which I know we're due to upscale that again. But I think it's a pretty decent mechanism, and we'll see what people think as time goes on. I'm, you know, definitely open to feedback. I know some folks have been DMing me today about it. I haven't had a chance to respond just because Mother's Day activities. I've been driving for 3 hours plus today and making sure to get our announcements and all that fun stuff out. I actually haven't tweeted out yet about Juice from our main Twitter account, but have I posted up a thread from my own personal, and then of course we've also put out our announcements within Discord too. So definitely worth mentioning all that fun stuff. But it really was all I had set up for today. Just because, again, the week's been more focused on the launch of Juice, putting that out there. So I'll kind of pause, jump and see questions. And if you do throw questions that are not in DAO VC, I appreciate it. I think a couple people pinged me in Alpha. Please do ping me in there. And I'll make sure to kind of answer questions. So I'm going to start off in DAO VC. Uh, got a bunch in here. So let's start off with El Capo. Quick question. The reason you guys decided to go for a different token instead of rewarding Foxy through the ecosystem. Yeah, so just as a clarification point, it's not a token. So Juice is not like an on-chain SPL token. It is a points-based reward system. It is intentional. Our main goal isn't to create another shitcoin in a way to peg a value to a shitcoin, because in theory there will be like some level of a pegged value to this point system as it's a rewards based system. So at its absolute core, I would akin it to a cashback style program that's popular on literally every credit card I think that exists in the States. It might be different in other countries. But even like I'm sorry, loyalty rewards programs for companies such as Kung Fu Tea that we go to, but Starbucks has them. I mean, almost any consumable products company has it. Uh, what's that? Yeah, credit card points. Yeah, credit card was the first one that I threw out there. But that's how we look at it. It's not a coin, it's not a token. It's a rewards, a point system for loyalty rewards, basically. All right. Let's see. So then to follow up, trade housing is so there's an obvious reason. Yeah, and El Capo, just because I know I'm reading through all the comments and I want to address them one at a time versus reading everything. Yeah, the main driver there really is to not have Foxy built into this, because it's more of like a specific value that we're anticipating these points to have. Um, we can't do that with Foxy, so it would be very bad and would 100% not work. Uh, yeah, you Alcipscalar. I apologize, I'm not sure how to say the name, but yeah, so you can't you can't suck juice, but you can trade it. You'll have a mechanism for trading points. Not sure exactly what that looks like yet, but I would probably say it'll look something similar to. Um, I don't know, within like the marketplace that we build for it. Is juice retroactive at all? Starting at a certain point. Yeah, so that's a great question, Tina. So juice is starting at a certain point, and the main reason is we've really been doing this reward system just in the randomized fashion with the raffles that we've done, namely between the bi-monthly raffles for rafflers and also the monthly raffles that we've done for citrus. So that's kind of how we've handled, I'll say, the retroactive activity to this point. Um, so, so yeah, so really, I'm trying to think of I don't know the exact start date and time, but it's within the last week that we're starting up for folks to um, collect juice, if you will, on your profiles. And again, it's starting off on Citra, so it'll also count towards other programs as we add them, but it's not going to count retroactively because we're still doing our typical rewards-based systems via these raffles so far. It's just again in a randomized fashion versus I'll call it a guaranteed reward for participation. Question here, should the level cap mission skew a higher fame and lower chest emission? Um, I will be honest with you that I didn't double check to see how much fame was in the fame only mission. So let me jump in to check it out. I'm sorry, I said fame only, but I meant our catch up. Alright, so it looks like 6,000 fame, 4 chests. Yeah, so yeah, I'll talk to Dev about that one. It should be higher than that for fame. So yeah, let me I'll circle back there. And yeah, so the idea behind the rewards kind of being the same, the 4 chest, 1 chest with this, I talked to Dev about it before. He's not keen on adjusting it to be like a one chest, like just as an example, like let's call it one chest per fox, how it kind of was beforehand, because it's would in theory be the same for TFFs, but it would be lesser for the FFFs. So instead, it just makes sense based off of the foxes that we're capturing to just say, hey, if all 1,000+ foxes go on this mission, like it's great as that catch-up mechanism. Right now, it looks like there's 125 of that 1,000 that are in there. But yeah, we'll adjust the fame on this, so that way it is more of a fame catch-up mechanism, as that's the intention for it. So that's a really good question, and I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, that's these are fair comments that Brink and Alsip are talking about in our DAO VC channel. But basically, to sum it up, um, you know, is there a way basically that people can kind of game the system? And like the answer, the like low key answer is like yes and no, because it can only be gamed so much. So like as an example, say you're level 39 Fox, right? And we give enough fame on this, let's say to bring 25 to above 40, which I'd have to go double check math on. Um, that would be, let me see how much fame that would be. 25. So you're talking from, let's call it 7,900 to uh, 30, 37K. So you're talking like 30-ish thousand Foxy, I'm sorry, 30,000 fame as a catch up there. That would bring you from 39 to 45. So it it would give you the ability to fame transfer around 30-ish K fame, but that's only if you're at 39, only if you're t-shirt or shirt Fox, and only if you, um, you know, go and launch on this mission. So I'm not that particularly worried about, that amount of fame. As you grow up in levels, 30K fame, as an example, uh, it gets you one level after level 60. So, might seem like a lot at the lower end, but again, that's for that like catch-up mechanism. So that's just my general point of view. Yeah. All right. That's Dow VC. I know you guys will probably comment back and forth. Let me jump into Alpha a little bit here. Okay. Thanks for the heads up, Brink. No, so DC had commented in Alpha if the cat mission replaces the quest for fame tokens. It does not. Yeah, I'll be posting a new questive. We've been talking behind the scenes of constructing one around like our juice campaign. So I still have to finalize what that looks like and push it out. It might be tonight, it might be tomorrow morning. I have to figure out what that looks like, but just as a heads up, there will be a questive for more fame tokens. So um, just want to let folks know about that. So that's a good question. Yeah, we did the meme one last week, which was decently attended. Yeah, it's to trials question here. So every user would get juice, but the FFF holders get something more. In theory, right now, the way it's designed is yes, FFF holders technically get, if you're a borrower, you get more juice because you pay 50% off of the fees. Um, so in theory, yes, FFF holders get more juice based off of their volume because they're paying less in fees, but that's only on the borrower side. As of right now, it's more so user based than FFF or TFF based. So I'll leave that there. But that's a good question. Juice though. Moon, if you could fly over and check out the sea monster, is pretty interesting. Question is juice is active. I'm not sure if what that means, but yeah, it's not like a passive thing that you earn. The only way to get, I mean, to start off, the only way to get it is based off of um, lending volume on Citrus, either as a lender or a borrower. So yeah, it's as active as you are, in theory. You can't just get it by doing nothing, which is why, again, it's more in the rewards point system. But yeah, these are all great, great, great questions, and I appreciate that. I think it's important. I know that like all the information we put out, I think is pretty decent, but if there are, I'll say holes in it that we've put out, definitely want to make sure we patch them up. Oh, is Juice active right now? It should be yes. Yeah, sometime last week. Yeah, thanks, please, Run. Yeah, I'm not sure the exact date and time. I have to double check with Dev as to when he is counting volume for it, but yes, we're all juiced up exactly. Uh, all right, let's see in here. All said. Is there a modifier for juice if you're FFF holder? I'm active in different wallets. My Citrus lending wallet. Um, yeah, so in Citrus, Al, so Citrus only gives a benefit right now for FFF stakers. So that is 50% off of the fees on the borrow side. The lending side is exactly identical to everyone else, primarily because there's no delta there that we charge as a platform. So you just earn the interest that you're meant to earn that you're lending against for that specific NFT. So as a borrower, you get a discount on the fees. Fees are already super low. It's 15% of the interest. So as an example, roughly every 100 sol, it's like zero point 0.3 sol a week. Um, so it's already quite small. But yeah, you get half of that off for every loans, depending on your volume and all that fun stuff. It can add up quite quickly. Um, but yeah, it won't show as active for Fox stakes unless you have an FFF on that lending wallet. And again, that will only matter again for getting discounts on the fees paid as a borrower. That's correct. Yeah, so you don't need to be a verified holder. And in theory, the juice is for everyone. So you don't have to have a Fox to earn juice on Citrus. That's where it's again like a user-based system. So just as a good clarifying point there, the Foxes just help you get reduced fees for borrowing, but as a lender, as a borrower by nature, connect your wallet. You don't have to have socials or anything else connected. Um, you can earn juice by your activity on there. Yeah, we'll have to think about the idea there of being a holder influencing juice production. I don't think there's an easy way for us to build something in there, but I know there have been some project slash protocols recently that have been pinging us about some kind of like a, what do I want to consider it? Like an ambassador style program where if you have your Twitter PFP of Fox and all that fun stuff, like you can do different things and earn, different reward type things from projects. I don't know, I think the concept's interesting, but I have to dig more into it to figure out if it can be gamed, how much of a pain in the ass it is, does it actually mean something different? The numbers that they typically show for how effective it is for projects that don't have very many holders. So I think it's a little bit of a different game compared to a top 10 project, but I think it's kind of interesting. Yeah, we have not released the redemption platform yet. It's one of the things that we were going to like tease for a while. So once it's live, you guys will definitely be the first to find out about it. Um, and yeah, it's not in the not so distant future. You guys know how we work, so it'll be coming out soon. Yeah.